how to run a 5K without stopping. We're gonna share a ton of awesome tips and advice for you to learn how to be able to accomplish this feat within running. And I think it's a really special one. The 5K is personally one of my favorite distances to run, to race, and I think you being able to accomplish this goal is going to bring you a ton of fulfillment and other benefits that come with running naturally. But first, what is a 5K? A 5K is equivalent to 3.125 miles, obviously 5 kilometers for those on the metric scale. The 5K is a really well-known race, I think, in many different levels of life. Most people who are into competitive running will see the 5K introduced to them in the high school level, their freshman year of high school, when they join the cross-country team. And it's a race that people like doing in trails, and so cross-country, you're running in trails, and 5K, that is pretty much the most popular distance that you might see in cross-country racing. We also see it very oftentimes at the collegiate level. The 5K is a distance that is ran on the track, often at the collegiate level, and some of the times these runners are running are pretty insane, especially when you compare it to what the average person could probably run a 5K. Even after college, regardless of your level of running, the 5K is probably the most popular and common race that we actually see. Between fun runs and color runs, trail races, road races, races for charity, there are so many different ways we see the 5K incorporated. It is a staple of a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, weekend in communities and towns all over the country and all over the world, really. And if there's a race that has a longer distance, such as a half marathon and marathon, oftentimes there'll be a 5K part of that weekend of running. So this way, more beginner runners can still be involved, still get the mileage, still get a medal, but not be forced to run a longer distance. Now that you know what a 5K actually is, I am going to jump into how to actually be able to complete this distance without feeling the need to walk halfway through it. And yes, if you do that, that's completely fine. But we want to help runners out, really get closer towards their potential. The first way to understand, even if you have the ability to run a 5K or not, is to just simply try. Go out there, find a route that's equivalent to 3.125 miles. Run around a track if you want, go on a treadmill, it doesn't matter. Just go out there, put your shoes on, and figure out what you can do with running right now. And maybe you're gonna go ahead and try to accomplish running a 5K and you only get to the 1 mile mark and you need to stop. Maybe we're at 2 miles, maybe we're not even at a mile and we have a lot of work to be done. I think regardless of where you're sitting right now, if you go ahead and put in the right practices and the right training, being able to run a 5K is very, very doable. And by no means do I think when you train for a 5K, you need to be running 5, 6, 7 days a week. I think if you train for 1 or 2 days a week, you can accomplish this goal. I would say that my recommendation, the sweet spot to get there as soon as possible, is probably the 3 to 4 day mark, but that is not meant to say that you absolutely have to do that. There's people who can run a 5K right now who only run once a year, and that's at a 5K, and they're able to do it without stopping. A lot of it is being in good physical shape, living a healthy and active lifestyle. So it's not all centered around running. You want to be, from a nutrition standpoint, eating healthy food. As far as what's right for this, there's no specific right answer. There's so many different people that you can work with when it comes to nutrition, but I think the best thing that you want to do is put together some sort of plan where you are eating a little bit healthier each week and you're running a little bit more each week. I think the other thing that is important, of course, is that you are active and you are moving. I really think the best thing that you can do to be able to run a 5K is to go out there and run. Now, a lot of us, when we go out there and run, we are not patient. We want to go ahead and get a certain distance over with as quickly as possible. But what you don't realize is that, yes, maybe for 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to feel good running at a pace that is quick for yourself. You might not recognize that it's quick for yourself until after those 3 minutes when you start feeling fatigued and tired. I want to encourage you, if you don't have the ability to run a 5K right now, so when you go out there and you actually run, majority of your runs, 80% of your runs, that you're gonna do over time, and I would even say for the first few weeks, 100% of the runs that you're gonna wanna do are gonna be at an incredibly slow pace for yourself. Like, I'm talking the fact that someone who is walking quickly could probably pass you who's in strong physical shape. You know, I would say you wanna just be moving your legs in a running motion, but you're not walking. You're bringing your knees and your feet up and you're moving in a jogging or running motion, okay? And so we're gonna go over different examples here. I'm gonna start with 1 day a week, and then we're gonna ramp up to 4 days a week. If you wanna do 5, 6, or 7, go ahead, but I'm not gonna talk about that during this video, because I think if you're able to run that many days a week, then you probably already at the point where you can run a 5K without stopping. But I would grab a pen and paper and write some of this down. If you are gonna go ahead and only commit yourself to running once a week, that's fine. But I would say you start the first week with running a certain distance that's comfortable for you. And you wanna be running easy, like I said. I can't emphasize that enough. So let's say that distance is 1 mile. You'll start the first week with 1 mile. But I think also something that you should consider doing while you're running is incorporating walking in it, and really just trying to spend more and more time on your feet as possible during that 1 day a week that you are running. So maybe you start off doing a mile, but then you walk a half mile to finish. Maybe you do half a mile, walk half a mile, run half a mile, walk half a mile, run half a mile, walk half a mile. Many different ways that you can be creative. And so that will help you ramp, and over time you're gonna get more comfortable with running, and you will get yourself to a point where you're able to run a full 5K. I can't guarantee you how many weeks it's gonna be. It's really up to you to make the consistent actions, the consistent increase, and doing it 1 day a week is possible when it comes to running, but I wanna highly recommend that you are trying to walk as much as possible, that you're doing cross-training like biking or swimming, yoga, competitive sports. Things of that nature will help towards that goal. And then once you're at a point where you're starting to feel comfortable, you go ahead and you try running that 5K and see if you can do it. I will say 2 things that you can do, and I think they're both pretty similar, but one will help for training and one will help towards completion. Number 1 is to consider running with a group when you're actually training. When you run with people, you're able to run further and feel better. Running is such a mental sport, so having that support system is gonna really help you. And then something else that you should definitely do, and you can do this right away, is to sign up for a 5K. It's simple, because if you are in that race environment, your adrenaline is gonna increase, you're gonna be motivated by all these amazing people that are out there and they're running this race, and the likelihood of you stopping is a lot less than when you're on a track or on a treadmill running by yourself. As far as when you should sign up for that race, whenever you'd like. Worst case, you run part of it and you walk part of it, but you know where you're at physically at that point, and then you sign up for another one, maybe 4 weeks out, 8 weeks out, and you continue your training and you get yourself to that point. So that's, regardless of the amount of days of a week that you plan on running, a really important tip as far as being able to run a 5K without stopping. If you want to do 2 days a week, well, it's pretty much the same thing. I would recommend perhaps spacing out your runs by a couple days a week, and that should definitely help you, but I would keep that training style every couple weeks. Incorporating some sort of speed workout in there will be really helpful. I would recommend probably doing anything between 30 to 90 seconds where you're running at 60, 70% of what you feel like you have the full ability to do, and then walking or running really easy. This is gonna help build up some strength for you, burn some additional fat. It's not gonna help as much when we talk about your endurance and your aerobic base, which is what will be built during the easy run, which is why I'm just encouraging these speed runs to only be done every few weeks for beginner 5K runners, but I think it will definitely help your training. If you're gonna go ahead and do 3 days a week, then the same thing, but what you're gonna be doing is one of those 3 days, you'll be doing a speed workout, I would say every other week, and then the other 2 days should be nice and easy runs. And then if you wanna go ahead and do 4 days a week, I would recommend 1 day a week being that speed workout and the other 3 days being nice and easy. In my opinion, the magic number is 210 when it comes to being able to get to the shape of being able to run a 5K. 210 minutes a week of being on your feet, really. And this can include, of course, running, walking, biking, competitive sports, the incline machine, whatever it might be. Over time, you want to be able to increase that to both be able to help your chances of being able to run a 5K without stopping and be able to improve your time if that's important to you. And of course, it's going to help for your health and wellness. The more you're exercising, the better. We're talking about 30 minutes a day of movement, which I think we all have 30 minutes a day that we can contribute to ourselves, but you want to make sure to continue to build up the amount of mileage that you're doing in a week when it comes to running. My advice when it comes to a 5K is 5 to 10% increase in your mileage a week. And then over time, you keep increasing 5 to 10% every single week, week after week. And eventually, the way that math works, you'll be able to get to that 5K distance. Recovery, that's going to be incredibly important here, especially if you're someone that doesn't move much at all in a given week. For me to tell you to do 210 minutes, it might sound a little scary, and it can be scary if you don't do the right things before and after your runs to make sure that you are not injuring yourself or getting overtrained. You want to make sure that after every run that you're doing, I don't care how hard or how easy the run is, you want to go ahead and do a full stretching routine. Now I have a full YouTube video you can check out that shows you my post-run stretching routine. Put that on every time after you run. Follow along. It's very interactive and engaging. So this will really put you in a spot where you make sure that you are not getting tight or super sore from running. You want to make sure that you're sleeping properly. That's helping with all aspects of life, but it will help with running because you are moving your muscles in a way that you don't normally do, and so they need to be able to regenerate and drink enough water. That is so important. You can do it during your run if you want. I highly recommend that. You don't have to if you don't feel like you need it, but there are so many different water bottle companies where you can put your hand in and be able to hold the water comfortably while you run. Or if you're doing it at your gym, obviously water fountains there. Find areas to run where there's water fountains nearby as well. I think that's all really helpful. And electrolytes too. So because of the fact that you are running, you sweat a lot, so you're having a lot of sodium leave your body, and so making sure that you're bringing in healthy levels of electrolytes is important. It's also important to make sure you are eating enough, fueling your body with a balanced diet. I know there's all these fad diets that are out there, but what I follow and what I recommend is to make sure you're just eating foods that are good for you to be really critical towards recovery and providing you enough energy for the run. You know, you want to test some different things in general, right? Because something that we see a huge challenge for a lot of beginner runners when they're trying to train for something new that's hard, you might cramp up. You might not feel the best when it comes to your stomach. And so you need to understand that certain things that you put into your body might not feel great when you run. For example, for me, any sort of dairy products or fatty, oily food or sauces, that makes me feel like shit when I run. So I really eat a light diet before I run, mostly healthy foods, and then after I run, I eat more. Before a speed workout or before you do a distance trial or a 5K race, for example, making sure to loosen up before that is important. I have another video where I go over that as well. A common setback that we see with beginner runners who train for a race like a 5K is shin splints. And I would say whether or not you feel like you have shin splints, doing shin splint exercises is going to really be helpful. I do have a YouTube video on that too, because you want to proactively prevent it, especially when you are building up mileage. You can be very vulnerable to shin splints. Other great ways to recover, this is kind of 2.0 type stuff. I don't think it's needed, but it will be helpful. Immersing yourself in cold water, whether that's a cold plunge or cold shower. Saunas are great. Cross-training, even though it might seem physically challenging, can be a form of recovery as well. Even like going in a pool and like jogging in place, that's always really helped me a lot too. Yoga, meditation will help with getting stretching done, but also it can help you on the mental side of things, because there is not just physical recovery when it comes to running. Sometimes there can be mental recovery, even though it does provide a ton of mental benefits. I want to encourage you to talk about this goal with other people. But I want to encourage you to try to surround yourself with a positive group of people who are motivating you towards this goal. And this can be done by joining a running group or going to races and meeting people there. And hopefully you already have a group like that. And if you do, they are gonna hold you accountable towards this goal. They are gonna push you on those days that things are hard. And yes, it puts pressure on yourself. You might have rough days where if you don't feel like you're training in the right direction or you're feeling lazy, that you don't feel like you can actually accomplish this goal. But that's why having other people to help motivate you and bring you back in that positive mindset is going to be great. And I'm happy to do that for anyone too. If you ever need someone to talk to about this goal, you need tips on your training, you don't know where to go, reach out to me. I'm at least one person that's willing to do it for you, but I'm sure there are plenty of other people you can find or that you know already who are willing to take that place for you. But yeah, that's really it. I mean, that is how you run a 5K without stopping. For many of us, we're not there now. It's not gonna happen overnight. It could take weeks, it could take months, it could take a year. It really is gonna be based on where you're at from your fitness standpoint right now and how willing you are going to be to really follow these steps towards getting yourself to be able to run a 5K without stopping. It is okay if not everything goes perfect. You might have a vacation or a family emergency that comes up and you need to take a week off of running. But I wanna really push you to, even when things get hard in life and you have distractions, to find a way to at least squeeze in that 30 minutes of exercise every day and to be able to get at least one day of running in each week. And like I said, I recommend you doing at least 3. It's really gonna be helpful, and you can over time increase it. You can start off with 1 day a week, do it for a month, go up to 2 days a week, do it for a month, and get better and better each and every day towards this goal. Let me know if you accomplish this goal. I wanna hear these stories. Let me know what other goals you have, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thanks so much.